The cops arrested a single father in front of his boss, his crew, and everyone who had ever trusted him. But the moment one officer noticed the faded mark on his arm, the entire scene changed. Noah Walker stood in the middle of a Charleston construction site with steel cuffs around his wrists, sawdust on his boots, and only one thought in his mind. His 8-year-old daughter was waiting outside school, believing her father would never break a promise. Around him, phones were recording. Co-workers whispered. And the woman he had quietly begun to love stood frozen, unsure whether to defend him or believe the evidence. This story is not only about a stolen machine or a hidden military past. It is about what happens when trust collapses before the truth arrives. Watch until the end. Like the video and comment where you are watching from. Hours before steel closed around Noah Walker's wrists, before every hammer fell silent and every face at the Harbor Grand turned toward him, the day had begun with the smell of burned pancakes. Noah stood barefoot in the narrow kitchen of his rented house in West Ashley, staring at a black circle of batter smoking in the pan. Morning light came through the blinds in thin gold stripes. At the table, 8-year-old Emma Walker watched him scrape the ruined pancake into the trash. "That one looked important," she said. "It gave its life for the others. It was the biggest one. The bravest usually are." Emma tried not to smile. One side of her dark hair had been braided. The other side stuck out in 3 directions because she had attempted to finish the job herself. Noah set a better pancake on her plate, then looked at the braid. "What happened there?" "I was experimenting. With electricity." She touched the loose side of her hair and frowned. "Mom never made it look weird." The sentence landed softly, but it changed the air in the room. Noah turned back toward the stove. The pan hissed beneath the next spoonful of batter. Grief rarely announced itself. Sometimes it entered through a small comment at breakfast and sat down in an empty chair. A photograph stood on the shelf behind it. Rachel was laughing while 4-year-old Emma sat on Noah's shoulders. Noah wore a navy dress uniform, though the frame faced slightly toward the wall. He looked back at Emma. "Your mom once burned water." Emma blinked. "You cannot burn water." "She found a way." "You're making that up." "She forgot a pot on the stove until all the water disappeared." The bottom turned purple. Emma laughed, and the tension loosened. Noah carried the pan to the sink and reached for a pink lunchbox on the counter. Inside he placed a turkey sandwich, apple slices, a juice box, and a small folded note. Emma leaned over the table. "What did you write?" "Classified." "I know how to read classified things." "That is exactly why it is classified." Emma narrowed her eyes at him, then returned to the pancake. Noah checked the clock. He had 48 minutes to get Emma to school and reach the Harbor Grand. Emma lifted a bright yellow paper from under her math book. "Do not forget Friday." Noah took the paper. Father and daughter, spring dance. Friday at 6:30. Something in Emma's face told him she needed to hear the promise again. "I will be there." "You have the hotel opening stuff." "I will still be there." "Claire said the investors are coming Friday." Noah paused. "When did Claire tell you that?" "When she brought the blueprints last week. She was here for 4 minutes. That was enough." "For what?" Emma shrugged and cut her pancake into careful squares. "She laughs different when you are around." Noah nearly dropped the dance notice. "Claire laughs the same around everyone." "No, she does not. You are 8. I have ears." He placed the paper on the refrigerator beneath a magnet shaped like a sea turtle. "Finish breakfast." Emma smiled into her plate. "That means I am right. It means we are late." By 7:30 they were moving east beneath a pale Charleston sky. Spanish moss hung from live oaks along the street. Emma's costume for a South Carolina history presentation hung in the back seat, repaired by Noah after midnight. "You need to wait until I finish before you clap," she said. "I will wait for visual confirmation." At school, Noah walked Emma to the gate. Before going inside, Emma hugged him around the waist. You look tired. I look distinguished. You look like the pancake. Noah smiled. 3 o'clock, she said. I will be here. Promise. He crouched until they were eye to eye. Promise. She searched his face, then nodded and ran toward the building. Noah watched until the blue doors closed behind her. Only then did he return to the truck. The Harbor Grand stood on the edge of Charleston Harbor like a wounded ship that refused to sink. Its red brick walls were dark with age. Tall, arched windows faced the water, many still boarded. For Claire Donovan, restoring it was the largest contract her company had ever attempted, and the one most likely to destroy it. Noah turned through the gates at 8:15. Workers crossed the courtyard as saws whined inside the East Hall. Claire stood beside the site office with a phone pressed to her ear. Her white sleeves were rolled to her elbows, and tension held her shoulders rigid. No, Charles, I heard you, she said into the phone. I also heard the engineer say the ballroom ceiling can be stabilized without removing the original plaster. She listened, jaw tight. No, we are not gutting a century-old room because replacement is easier for your schedule. Noah climbed out of the truck carrying 2 paper cups. Claire noticed him and raised one finger. Claire turned away from the courtyard. The opening date is still possible, she said. I understand exactly what is at risk. She ended the call and stared at the blank screen for a moment. Noah held out one of the cups. Peace offering. For what? I have not decided yet. Claire accepted it and took a careful sip, her eyes closed. You remembered the cinnamon. You become dangerous without it. That sounds like criticism. It is a safety assessment. A tired smile appeared. You are late. 8:15 is not late. Safety meeting starts at 8. You moved it to 8:30 yesterday. Claire looked at him over the cup. I did. You should drink more coffee before accusing employees. You should stop enjoying this. I am not enjoying it. You are smiling. Noah looked toward the workers gathering near the office. Wind. Claire followed his gaze, but her eyes remained on him a moment longer than necessary. For almost 3 years, Noah had been the one person on the project who never added to her noise. When others panicked, he studied the problem until he found the part that could still be saved. Claire trusted him with the building, and that trust had begun to reach beyond it. She took another sip of coffee. Are you still skipping the company dinner Friday? I have Emma's school dance. The father and daughter one. He glanced at her. You remember. I remember things. Like moving safety meetings. Her smile faded into something quieter. Of course. Family first. Noah heard the small disappointment in her voice. He wanted to say that some guarded part of him noticed every room she entered. Instead, he lifted his coffee. I should check the West Wing. Claire nodded. The space between them filled with the things he did not say. At 8:30, the crew gathered in the courtyard for the safety briefing. Noah reviewed scaffold inspections, electrical lockouts, and the storm forecast expected later in the week. His voice carried across the courtyard while Claire watched the workers listen. Mason Briggs arrived halfway through the meeting. As equipment manager, Mason controlled the warehouse vehicle logs, access cards, and daily tool inventory. He stepped into the group with a paper bag in one hand. Traffic, he said. Noah looked at him. Meeting started 20 minutes ago. I know how clocks work. Good. Be here when they start tomorrow. Mason's smile did not reach his eyes. Sure thing, boss. Noah was not his boss, not officially. Claire had placed Noah in charge of field coordination, which often meant correcting problems Mason had ignored. After the meeting, Noah entered the equipment warehouse to collect a thermal scanner needed for moisture testing in the ballroom walls. Shelves climbed toward the ceiling, packed with tools and sealed cases. Noah signed the ledger and walked to the secured cabinet. 2 thermal scanners were listed as returned the previous evening. Only one sat inside. He returned to the ledger. The entry showed both scanners returned at 6:42 by crew member Luis Ortega. Luis had left the site at 4 to take his mother to a medical appointment. Noah ran one finger down the page. A generator had been signed out under another employee number 2 nights earlier. The employee was working at a project in Beaufort. Behind him, the warehouse door closed. Mason leaned against it. Looking for something. Scanner number 4. Moved it. Where? One of the other sites. Which one? Mason scratched his jaw. The Meeting Street house. They finished moisture testing last week. Then maybe Sullivan's Island. Noah closed the ledger. Which one, Mason? Why are you going through my inventory? I came for a scanner. And now you are auditing me. The numbers do not match. Equipment moves. Crews forget to sign things back in. That is why you build walls and I handle inventory. Noah looked toward the rear loading door. A thin line of sunlight showed beneath it. The door was supposed to remain bolted until deliveries arrived. Fresh tire marks crossed the dusty floor near the threshold. One track carried damp mud, though it had not rained since the weekend. Mason's voice sharpened. You planning to fingerprint the floor? Noah stood. When was this door opened? No idea. You control the keys. I control 100 people who think locks are suggestions. Claire entered with a tablet. There you are, she said to Noah. The preservation engineer is ready in the ballroom. Mason's entire manner changed. He smiled and spread his hands. Your favorite carpenter has decided my warehouse needs military discipline. Noah's gaze shifted to him. Claire caught it. Is there a problem? One scanner is missing, Noah said. The return log is wrong. There are tire marks by the rear door. Mason laughed. We have a construction site full of trucks. He found a tire mark. Claire looked at the floor, then at the ledger. Find the scanner before noon. Mason's smile thinned. I will. Claire turned to Noah. We need you upstairs. As they walked out, she added, He hates when you are right. I have noticed. He thinks I rely on you too much. Do you? Claire glanced sideways at him. Yes. The answer came too quickly to be casual. Noah looked ahead. The ballroom held a faded grandeur. Dust floated through shafts of sunlight and cracked decorative plaster covered the ceiling. An engineer stood near the center with rolled plans under one arm. He explained that the ceiling would take 6 weeks to stabilize. Replacing it would take 3 and cost less. Claire looked at Noah. He studied the cracks, then climbed a scaffold to inspect the supporting lath. He tested the supporting wood, listened to its sound, then climbed down. It can be saved. The engineer shook his head. You cannot guarantee that. No, but I can tell you the damage is concentrated around 2 failed anchors. The rest is stronger than it looks. Claire stepped closer to the center of the room. When this place opened, people came here from across the state to dance under that ceiling. The engineer glanced around. They will not know the difference if we reproduce it. I will, Claire said. Noah looked at her. That was one of the things he admired most about Claire. She cared about details that no investor would ever notice. She believed history deserved more than imitation. The engineer sighed and unrolled his plans. If we stabilize it, the sequence changes. We change the sequence, Claire said. He looked at Noah. You are certain? Noah ran his hand over a fragment of fallen plaster. Not certain. But old structures tell you when they are finished. This one is not. The engineer walked away. Claire remained beneath the cracked ceiling. You always think broken things can be repaired. Noah looked toward the empty dance floor. Not everything. The sunlight shifted between them. Claire's expression softened. She knew Rachel had died. Everyone at the company knew that much. They knew Noah was raising Emma alone and that he never discussed the years before Charleston. Now she almost asked, "Was Rachel a dancer?" Noah's face changed not with anger, but with retreat. She liked music. Claire waited. He offered nothing else. She looked toward the windows. "I am sorry. I should not have asked. You can ask, but you do not have to answer." A faint smile touched his mouth. That is usually how questions work. Claire laughed under her breath. For one moment, they stood together inside the careful distance Noah had built around his old life. Then his phone rang. The school secretary told him Emma had left her presentation costume at home. Noah looked toward the garment bag he had carried to the gate that morning. It was still hanging from the hook behind his truck seat. He closed his eyes. Claire recognized the expression. What happened? "Emma's costume is in my truck. Her presentation is today, 10:45. Claire checked the time. "Go. We have the West Wing inspection. I can handle it. The engineer needs the revised support measurements. Send them from the road." Noah hesitated. Claire touched his arm just above the faded tattoo hidden beneath his sleeve. "Go save the day." His eyes dropped briefly to her hand. "Those days are behind me." The words carried more weight than the moment required. Claire slowly let go. Noah turned and left before she could ask what he meant. He reached Emma's classroom 7 minutes before the presentation. When she saw the garment bag in his hand, her entire face changed. "I knew you would come. I promised." Noah stayed at the back while she spoke. When she forgot a line, he gave her a small nod. She found the words finished and watched him wait until the proper moment to clap. When he returned to Harbor Grand after noon, Claire was in a meeting with an investor. Noah went directly to the site office. The inventory ledger had bothered him throughout Emma's presentation. He logged into the equipment system and pulled 6 months of access records. At first, the discrepancies looked ordinary. Then the pattern appeared. High-value equipment was leaving the site late at night. The employee numbers belonged to people who had already gone home. Several entries had been approved using Noah's supervisor code. He had never approved them. Noah printed the records. Behind him, the office window reflected Mason crossing the courtyard. Noah gathered the pages into a blue folder and wrote Claire's name across the front. He placed it on his desk before his phone rang again. This time, Emma's teacher explained that the school needed a parent's signature for Friday's dance and that the online form had failed. Noah promised to stop by after work. He ended the call and looked through the glass toward Claire's office. The investor was still speaking. Noah decided to show her the folder after the afternoon walkthrough. A worker called from the west stairwell about a cracked support. Noah left the office. Across the courtyard, Mason watched him disappear into the building. 20 minutes later, Mason entered the site office. He closed the door behind him and moved quickly to Noah's desk. The blue folder lay beside the keyboard. His face drained as he photographed every page. Then he placed the folder beneath his shirt and crossed to the locker area behind the office. Noah's locker required a key, but Mason kept duplicates for every supervisor. He opened it. Mason removed a plastic access card from his pocket. It belonged to the rear warehouse door. He slid it beneath Noah's gloves. Then he placed a thick envelope behind the rain gear. Inside was cash from the sale of a generator. Mason closed the locker and returned the duplicate key to his pocket. At his desk, he opened a private email account. He wrote to the insurance investigator overseeing the Harbor Grand project. The message claimed Noah had been selling stolen equipment to cover personal debts. It mentioned his old truck, private nature, unexplained absences, and hidden past. Each detail was true. Together, they formed a lie. Mason attached photographs of the warehouse access report showing Noah's code. He also created the appearance of an anonymous witness. He leaned back and listened to the construction noise outside. For months, he had watched Claire turn to Noah whenever the project went wrong, while his own authority mattered less each day. Now the man everyone trusted would become the reason they doubted themselves. At 6:15, the site began to empty. Noah was helping secure tarps over the west roof when Claire found him. Noah climbed down to meet her. "You missed lunch." "So did you." Claire held a copy of the revised ballroom schedule. "The engineer agreed to your plan. He agreed to charge you more money." He seemed cheerful about it. Noah wiped dust from his hands. "I found something in the inventory records." Claire's attention sharpened. "What?" He looked toward the site office. "I printed the entries. They are on my desk." They walked together across the courtyard. Inside the office, the blue folder was gone. Noah checked beneath the plans and inside the drawer. Claire watched him. "What are we looking for?" "A folder with 6 months of access reports." "You left it here, on the desk." The office door opened behind them. Mason entered carrying a clipboard. "Everything all right?" Noah turned. "Did you take a blue folder from my desk?" "No. You were in here this afternoon." "So were 20 other people. The access records show missing equipment signed out under false employee numbers." Mason looked at Claire. "I told you I was reconciling the scanner issue." "This is more than one scanner," Noah said. "Then show us." Noah's jaw tightened. Claire stepped between them. "Enough. Noah, pull the records again tomorrow. Mason, nobody enters this office tonight without logging it." Mason nodded. "Of course." As he turned to leave, Noah saw a small streak of blue ink on the side of Mason's hand, the same color as the marker Noah had used to label Claire's folder. Their eyes met. Mason smiled faintly. Noah said nothing. He did not have proof. At home that evening, Emma practiced dance steps from a video on Claire's tablet. Claire had left it during her last visit and never seemed in a hurry to retrieve it. Emma spun, lost her balance, and fell onto the couch. "Did that look graceful?" "It looked committed." "You have to practice, too." "I know how to dance." Emma sat up. "You move like furniture." Noah stared at her. She laughed. He was about to defend himself when his phone rang. Claire's name appeared on the screen. "Hey." For a second, all he heard was wind and distant machinery. Then Claire spoke. "3 generators are missing." Noah stood. "When?" "Sometime last night. The warehouse count is short and 1 delivery seal was cut. Check the rear loading camera." A pause followed. Noah walked toward the kitchen window. Outside, the street was dark and still. "Claire, there is a problem." "What problem?" Her voice lowered. "The footage is gone." The missing footage changed the sound of Claire's voice. Until that moment, she had sounded worried. Now she sounded afraid. Noah stood beside the kitchen window with the phone pressed to his ear. Behind him, Emma continued practicing her dance steps in the living room, unaware that her father had gone completely still. "Who had access to the security system?" he asked. "Me, Mason, and the site security contractor." "When was the footage deleted?" "They are checking. Do not let anyone touch the server. The insurance investigator is already on the way." Noah looked through the glass at the dark street. "Claire, listen to me. Lock the warehouse. Photograph every shelf before anything gets moved. Print the access logs from a machine that is not connected to the site network." There was a short silence. "You sound like you have done this before." Noah watched Emma stumble into the couch and laugh at herself. "I have dealt with missing information. That is not an answer. It is the one I have." Claire exhaled. "Can you come back?" He looked at the clock. It was almost 7. Emma had homework to finish clothes to prepare for the morning, and a promise that her father would help her practice one more dance. "I cannot tonight." Claire said nothing. Noah heard what she did not say. The largest theft in the company's history had just been discovered, and the man she trusted most was refusing to return. "I will be there before 7 tomorrow," he said. "All right. Do not accuse anyone yet." "I know." "And Claire?" "Yes. Do not trust the access records until we know who altered the video." This time her silence lasted longer. "Good night, Noah." The call ended. Emma appeared at the kitchen entrance. "Is Claire in trouble?" Noah set the phone on the counter. "Work trouble." She sounded sad. You could hear her. You listen louder when she calls. Noah stared at his daughter. Emma lifted both hands. "I am just saying." He glanced back toward the window. The street remained quiet, but the feeling inside him did not. Years earlier, in another life, silence had often been the first sign that something was wrong. A door left open, a light switched off, a radio that suddenly stopped answering. At the Harbor Grand, someone had removed a folder, erased a camera, and stolen equipment under his name. Those actions were not separate. They were steps. Noah arrived at the construction site at 6:40 the next morning. The sun had not yet cleared the harbor. Fog drifted between the warehouses near the water, and the Harbor Grand rose above it in dark brick and broken windows. 2 unfamiliar vehicles were parked beside Claire's car. Inside the site office, an insurance investigator named Peter Lang stood over a table covered in printed records. He wore a gray suit that looked too expensive for a construction site and shoes already marked with dust. Claire stood near the window with both arms folded. Mason sat at the table drinking coffee. When Noah entered, Mason looked up. "Nice of you to join us." Noah ignored him. Claire turned. She had not slept. He could see it in the faint shadows beneath her eyes and the careful way she held herself. "This is Peter Lang," she said. "He represents the insurer." Lang offered his hand. "Noah Walker." "Yes. I have questions about the access system." "So do I." Lang motioned toward an empty chair. Noah remained standing. 3 generators, 2 scanners, copper wiring, and several laser units are missing, Lang said. "The estimated loss is more than $80,000. "When did the thefts begin?" "At least 6 weeks ago." Noah looked at Claire. "You said 3 generators last night." "That was before we completed the full inventory." Lang pushed a printed sheet across the table. "Your supervisor code appears in 11 unusual transactions." Noah looked down. Dates, times, and equipment numbers filled the page. His code was listed beside each one. "I did not authorize these." "Does anyone else know your code?" "No." Mason leaned back in his chair. "Maybe we should stop pretending the computer invented it." Claire looked sharply at him. "Mason." "What we are all thinking it." "No," Noah said. "You are saying it." Mason's expression hardened. Lang lifted one hand. "I am not interested in personal conflict. I am interested in facts." "Then start with the missing camera footage," Noah said. "We are examining it. Was the server accessed locally or remotely?" Lang studied him. "Why do you know to ask that?" "Because if someone stole equipment using my code, the camera is the part that proves who did it." Mason smiled without humor. "Unless the person who did it also deleted the footage." Noah met his eyes. "Exactly." Claire moved closer to the table. "Peter, can the footage be recovered?" "Possibly. The security contractor is sending a technician." "What about the access card records?" Noah asked. Lang turned another page toward him. "The rear warehouse door was opened at 11:46 2 nights ago." "Using which card?" Lang looked at the document. "Card 17. Mason spoke before Noah could. "That is Noah's backup supervisor card." Noah looked at him. "My backup card is locked in my locker." Lang closed the folder. "Then we should confirm that." The locker area stood behind the main office, separated by a wall of unfinished plywood. Noah unlocked the outer door and walked to the metal locker marked with his name. Claire followed with Lang and Mason. Several workers had begun arriving. They slowed as they passed the office, sensing something unusual. Noah inserted his key. The locker opened. His rain jacket hung from a hook. Work gloves rested on the upper shelf. A pair of boots stood beneath them. Lang reached inside. "Do not touch anything," Noah said. Lang stopped. Noah pointed to the gloves. A corner of white plastic showed beneath them. The investigator pulled on a pair of disposable gloves, then lifted the object carefully. It was access card 17. Mason let out a breath. "There it is." Noah stared at the card. "I did not put that there." Lang photographed it before placing it inside an evidence bag. Then he moved the rain jacket aside. An envelope fell from behind it and struck the locker floor. It opened when it landed. Cash spread across the concrete. For several seconds, no one spoke. Claire looked at the money, then at Noah. Her face did not show accusation. That would have been easier. It showed confusion. Mason stepped back. "Jesus." Noah crouched but did not touch the bills. "That is not mine." Lang counted without lifting the money. "Looks like several thousand." "It was planted." Mason gave a quiet laugh. "Of course it was." Noah stood so quickly that Claire moved between them. "Enough." Mason's voice rose. "How much more do you need?" His code was used. His card opened the door. Cash is in his locker. "And the camera was erased," Noah said. "Maybe because you knew it would show your truck." Noah's eyes narrowed. "What truck?" Mason hesitated. The pause was small, but Noah saw it. Lang did too. Mason recovered. "I saw a dark pickup behind the warehouse 2 nights ago. It looked like his." "What time?" Lang asked. "Around midnight." "Why were you here?" "I forgot my medication." Noah studied him. "You told Claire you were home by 9. Mason's jaw tightened. "I went home, then came back." "You never logged through the main gate." "The side gate was open." "The side gate locks at 7. "Then someone left it open." Noah took one step toward him. "You are changing your story." Claire placed a hand against Noah's chest. The touch was firm, but her fingers trembled. "Noah, stop." He looked down at her hand, then at her face. She was not protecting Mason. She was trying to keep the room from breaking apart. Lang gathered the cash and sealed it in a second evidence bag. "I am contacting the police." Claire turned toward him. "Is that necessary yet?" "We have a substantial loss and physical evidence linked to an employee." "Physical evidence that may have been planted." Lang looked at Noah. "That will be for law enforcement to determine." Outside, the first saw started and then stopped. Someone had seen the cash through the open doorway. Whispers moved across the courtyard faster than any official announcement. Noah closed his locker. He felt the old instinct to control the space around him, count the exits, watch the hands, decide who was frightened and who was pretending not to be. He forced himself to remain where he was. Claire asked Lang to wait outside. When the door closed behind him, she turned to Noah. Mason remained near the lockers. "Privately," Claire said. Mason looked offended. "I manage the warehouse." "Privately, Mason." He left. Claire waited until his footsteps faded. Then she looked at Noah. "Tell me what I am missing." "You are looking at it." "I am looking at your access card and several $1,000s in your locker. Someone put them there. Who, I do not know yet." Claire paced toward the window. "The investors are already asking whether this project has been compromised. The insurer can suspend coverage. If that happens, Work stops. Noah heard the strain beneath her words. This is not about the project. Everything is about the project right now. 50 people get paid because this site stays open. She turned back. Are you in financial trouble? The question struck harder than he expected. Noah's voice became quiet. What? I need to know. You think I stole from you? I did not say that. You asked whether I needed the money. Because money was found in your locker. No, you asked because part of you believes it could be mine. Claire's eyes flashed. I am trying to understand evidence that points directly at you. That was the purpose of putting it there. And if I ignore it because I trust you, what does that make me? Someone who knows me. Claire looked away. Noah felt the answer before she spoke. I know the man who has worked here for 3 years, she said. I do not know anything about the man before that. His expression closed. So that is what this is. I did not say that. You did. Noah, you disappear when anyone asks where you came from. You never talk about the Navy. You never explain why you left. You keep every part of your life locked behind a door and expect me to believe there is nothing on the other side. He stared at her. The office seemed smaller than it had a moment earlier. Claire's voice softened. I am not accusing you. I am asking you to help me understand. You have had the truth every day I worked for you. Then tell me the rest of it. He looked toward the courtyard. Workers were pretending not to watch through the windows. The rest is not connected to stolen equipment. How do I know? The moment the words left her mouth, Claire regretted them. Noah's face did not change. That made it worse. He picked up his tool belt from the chair. Where are you going? Outside. Peter told us to remain available. I am not leaving the site. Noah. He stopped at the door, but did not turn. Claire took a step toward him. I want to believe you. He finally looked back. Trust is not wanting to. Then he walked out. By 9, the Harbor Grand no longer felt like a construction site. It felt like a courtroom without a judge. Workers spoke in lowered voices. Conversation stopped when Noah approached. A carpenter named Ben Carter had eaten lunch beside him for 2 years. That morning, Ben moved his coffee cup when Noah set his plans on the same table. The movement was almost unconscious. Noah noticed anyway. Luis Ortega was the only worker who spoke to him normally. You okay? Luis asked. No. Luis nodded. Good answer. Noah checked support measurements in the West Hall while the police were contacted. He needed to keep moving. Stillness gave anger too much room. Across the floor, 2 workers whispered near a stack of drywall. One said the cash proved everything. The other mentioned Noah's old truck and wondered aloud how a single father could afford the tools in his garage. Noah continued measuring. A younger worker named Tyler held his phone low beside his leg. The camera was pointed at Noah. Noah looked directly at him. Tyler lowered it. Near the warehouse, Mason spoke quietly with Lang. Noah could not hear the words, but he saw Mason gesture toward the rear gate and then toward Noah's truck. The story was being built in real time. Every ordinary detail of Noah's life was becoming evidence. He drove an old truck because he did not care about replacing it. Now it meant he needed money. He left work to help Emma. Now those absences were unexplained. He kept his past private. Now privacy looked like guilt. At 10:15, Claire found Mason alone near the loading area. Did you report Noah to the insurer? Mason looked surprised. Why would I do that? Peter received an anonymous message before he came here. I did not know that. The message included warehouse details only you and Noah would know. Then maybe Noah reported himself to make it look like a setup. Claire stared at him. That does not make sense. None of this makes sense. You told Peter you saw Noah's truck. I said I saw a truck like his. You told me you were home. Mason sighed. I came back for medication. I did not log it because the gate system has been unreliable. Since when? Claire, why are you questioning me instead of him? Because your story changed. His expression sharpened. You trust him that much. She held his gaze. I trust facts. Right now I'm trying to find them. Mason stepped closer. Be careful. You have always treated him differently. Claire's jaw tightened. What is that supposed to mean? It means everyone sees it. There is nothing to see. Then you should have no problem letting the police do their job. He walked away before she could respond. Claire remained beside the loading door. For the first time, she looked down at the tire tracks Noah had noticed. One set was narrow at the front and wide at the rear. The tread on Noah's truck was the same width on all 4 tires. She took out her phone and photographed the marks. At 10:42, Charleston police cruisers turned through the main gate. The sound of the engines drew workers from every level of the building. Officer Paige Harmon stepped from the first vehicle. Her partner, Daniel Ruiz, emerged from the second. Lang met them in the courtyard. Noah stood on the west scaffold, tightening a temporary brace. From above, he watched Lang point toward the office, the warehouse, and finally toward him. Ruiz followed the gesture. Their eyes met across the site. Noah climbed down. Claire reached him before the officers did. You do not have to say anything without an attorney. I have nothing to hide. That is not the same as being safe. He looked at her. It was the first thing she had said that morning that sounded like trust. Officer Harmon approached. Noah Walker. Yes. We need to speak with you regarding stolen equipment belonging to Donovan Historic Restoration. All right. Please keep your hands where I can see them. Noah lowered them beside his body. Workers gathered along the courtyard. Tyler raised his phone again. Officer Harmon explained that investigators had recovered an access card and cash from Noah's locker. His supervisor code had been used during several unauthorized entries. Noah answered each question calmly. He denied stealing the equipment. He denied authorizing the access records. He denied placing the money or card in his locker. Mason stood near the warehouse entrance with his arms folded. Noah looked at him. Mason did not look away this time. Harmon asked Noah where he had been at 11:46 2 nights earlier. At Emma James Elementary. At midnight. Parent planning meeting. It ran late. Can anyone confirm that teachers' parents' school security? Did you drive directly home? Yes. Mason spoke from behind the officers. His truck was here. Harmon turned. You are the witness? Mason seemed to realize he had stepped too far into the center of the story. I saw a truck that looked like his. Noah's voice remained even. Earlier you said it was mine. Mason ignored him. Harmon asked Mason to wait inside the office. Ruiz watched the exchange carefully. A police radio crackled in the silence. Then Harmon faced Noah again. Based on the physical evidence and the value of the missing property, you are being placed under arrest pending further investigation. Claire stepped forward. Arrested? You have not checked his alibi. We will. You have not recovered anything from his house or truck. Ma'am, step back. He has worked for me for 3 years. Harmon reached for Noah's wrist. Claire looked at him. He waited for her to say more. For one painful second, she hesitated. Noah saw fear, responsibility, and doubt move across her face. The handcuff closed around his right wrist. Every hammer at the Harbor Grand went silent. Noah placed his other hand behind his back before Harmon asked. The second cuff locked. Workers moved closer. Someone whispered that they had known he was hiding something. Noah looked toward the clock above the office. It was 2:37. Emma would leave class in 23 minutes. Claire. She stepped toward him. Emma gets out at 3. Claire's face changed. I will get her. She will wait by the blue gate. I know. Her backpack strap is loose. Do not carry it by the top. Noah, I know. He looked toward Tyler's phone. Do not let her see the video. Claire followed his gaze. Tyler lowered the device. I will not. Officer Harmon began searching Noah's canvas work bag. She removed gloves, measuring tools, a packed lunch, and Emma's folded drawing inside a plastic sleeve. The picture showed 3 people standing in front of the Harbor Grand. Noah, Emma, Claire. Claire saw it before Harmon placed it on the table. Her breath caught. A small wooden horse came next. Noah had carved most of the body, but had not finished the legs. Harmon set it beside the drawing. Noah kept his eyes on the clock. His phone began ringing inside the bag. The screen displayed Emma's school. Harmon silenced it. Please answer that, Noah said. You can make a call after processing. That is my daughter's school. You are not making a call here. Claire stepped in. I will take it. Harmon handed her the phone. Claire answered. Hello? Emma's voice was loud enough for Noah to hear. Where is Dad? Claire looked at him in handcuffs. He got held up at work. He promised. I know. Is he there? Claire swallowed. Yes. Can I talk to him? Harmon shook her head. Claire turned slightly away from the officer. Your father asked me to come get you. Emma was quiet. Did he forget? Noah closed his eyes. Claire looked directly at him. No, he did not forget. He is thinking about you right now. Officer Ruiz opened the side pocket of Noah's bag. Inside was a faded photograph of Noah in desert camouflage beside several men whose faces had been marked out with black ink. Ruiz glanced at Noah. You were military. Noah did not answer. Harmon guided him toward the cruiser. As Noah moved, his sleeve caught against the cuff and pulled upward. A faded trident appeared on his forearm beneath an old burn scar. Ruiz stopped. He stepped closer. Hold on. Harmon looked at him. What? Ruiz studied the tattoo. The shape was worn by time, but unmistakable. An eagle, an anchor, a trident, a pistol. Ruiz looked at the small numbers beneath it. What unit were you with? Noah's jaw tightened. That has nothing to do with this. Ruiz asked again. What unit? Noah met his eyes. I am not using my service to get out of handcuffs. No one said you were. Then investigate the theft. Ruiz moved away and contacted dispatch. He requested a full military and criminal background check under Noah's name and date of birth. Harmon waited beside the cruiser. Claire remained near the office, holding Noah's phone in one hand and Emma's drawing in the other. Ruiz listened to the response through his earpiece. His expression changed slowly. Noah Walker had served 12 years in the United States Navy. Multiple deployments, special operations, several commendations, no criminal history, no financial fraud, no outstanding warrants. Then dispatch mentioned a restricted citation connected to a hostage recovery in the Arabian Sea. Ruiz remembered the story. Years earlier, while serving with the Army, he had heard about a disabled cargo vessel taken by armed men during a storm. 11 civilians had been recovered after negotiations failed. One operator had carried an injured child through flooding compartments while part of the vessel burned. The name attached to that operator had been Lieutenant Noah Walker. Ruiz looked across the courtyard. The man from the report was standing in dusty work boots with his hands cuffed behind his back, watching the clock because his daughter was waiting at school. Harmon noticed Ruiz's expression. What is it? He lowered the radio. His record is clean. That does not erase the evidence. No, it does not. Ruiz looked toward Lang. The anonymous report said Walker left the Navy while under investigation. Harmon nodded. That is why they considered him a flight risk. It is false. He received an honorable separation after 12 years. Harmon's eyes narrowed. Ruiz continued. Someone did not just accuse him. Someone created a background story to make us move quickly." Harmon looked at Noah, then at Mason, who stood near the office door. Ruiz walked toward his partner. "Take the cuffs off him." Harmon stared at him. "We have probable cause. We have contaminated information. Remove the cuffs while we verify it." She hesitated, then unlocked them. Noah brought his hands forward and rubbed one wrist. The red marks remained. The workers watched in confused silence. Claire moved toward him. "Why did they take them off?" Noah did not answer. Ruiz faced him. "Your service record does not prove you did not steal anything." "I know. But the person who reported you lied about it." Noah looked past him toward the warehouse. "Then stop looking at who I used to be." His eyes settled on Mason. "Find out who needed you to believe I was guilty." Ruiz followed his gaze. Mason stepped backward into the office. Noah turned toward Claire. "Check the security system again." The footage was deleted. "Your footage was deleted." She frowned. Noah pointed across the narrow service alley toward the apartment building facing the harbor. A black camera was mounted above its parking entrance, aimed directly toward the rear of the Harbor Grand. Theirs was not. The camera across the alley had been there the entire time. Noah stood beneath the Harbor Grand awning while Officer Ruiz followed the direction of his hand. Above the entrance to the apartment building, a small black lens faced the service road behind the construction site. Officer Harmon looked from the camera to Noah. "You noticed that while you were being arrested, I noticed it 3 weeks ago when they replaced the parking gate." Ruiz studied him for a moment. "Anything else you noticed?" Noah looked toward the site office. "Mason is gone." Claire turned sharply. The office door stood open. Mason had been inside only minutes earlier, watching the officers remove Noah's handcuffs. Now his chair was empty. Harmon reached for her radio. "Do not call him yet," Noah said. She looked at him. "He may not know we are questioning him. He knows. How he watched you take off the cuffs." Ruiz understood first. If Briggs planted the evidence, he knows the military check exposed part of the report as false. Noah nodded. "And now he knows we are looking somewhere else." Harmon radioed another unit and requested that officers watch the site exits without approaching Mason if he appeared. Claire stared at the empty office. He cannot have gone far. Noah looked toward the rear gate. Mason's truck was no longer parked beside the warehouse. He did not plan to stay. Ruiz crossed the alley with Harmon. Claire remained beside Noah in the courtyard. Around them, workers returned slowly to their stations, but no one truly resumed working. The sound of tools came back in scattered bursts. A saw started on the second floor, stopped, then started again. Tyler still held his phone. Noah looked at him. "Turn it off." Tyler lowered it immediately. Claire held Noah's phone and Emma's drawing against her chest. "You should call a lawyer. I should call my daughter." Claire handed him the phone. Emma's school number remained on the screen. Noah called back. A secretary answered and told him dismissal had begun. Emma was waiting by the blue gate as usual. Noah looked at the clock. It was 2:51. He could not reach the school in time. Claire took her car keys from her pocket. "I am going." Noah looked toward the apartment building where Ruiz was speaking with a manager. "The police may need you here. They need the security records. They do not need me standing beside them. You have investors calling. They can wait." "Claire." She stepped closer. "You asked me not to let her think you forgot." The words stopped him. Her voice softened. "I will bring her home. I will stay with her until you get there." Noah studied her face. Hours earlier, he had watched doubt move through her eyes while officers locked his hands behind him. It still hurt. Trust did not repair itself because a pair of cuffs had been removed. But Emma was waiting. That mattered more. Her teacher is Mrs. Aldridge. Emma will be by the blue gate unless they moved her into the office. I remember. She does not like sitting in the front seat. I know. If she asks what happened, do not lie to her. Claire nodded. But do not tell her everything over the phone. I will not. Noah hesitated. Then he reached into his bag and handed Claire the small wooden horse. One of the legs is not finished. Claire looked down at it. Why are you giving me this? She will ask why it was in my work bag. Claire closed her fingers around the carving. I will take care of her. Noah's expression changed slightly. Not enough to become a smile, but enough for Claire to see that he believed her. She walked toward her car. At the gate, she looked back. Noah stood in the same place where the police had handcuffed him. Workers moved around him, keeping their distance. His shoulders were straight, his face controlled, but she could see the red marks around his wrists. For the first time that day, Claire understood how alone he was. She got into the car and drove toward Emma's school. Across the alley, Ruiz returned with the apartment manager. The building stores exterior footage for 30 days, he said. The manager is giving us access now. Harmon carried a laptop into the Harbor Grand office. Noah followed them inside. Lang remained at the conference table with the evidence bags. The cash and access card lay beneath clear plastic. His expression had changed since Noah's handcuffs came off. He was no longer speaking as though the case had already been solved. Harmon opened the apartment building's security portal. The footage showed the alley from an elevated angle. Rain from 2 nights earlier blurred the lens and light from the harbor reflected across the wet pavement. Ruiz entered the time. 11:38 p.m. The alley was empty. At 11:41, headlights appeared near the far entrance. A dark pickup turned toward the Harbor Grand. Harmon paused the image. That looks like Walker's truck. It is not mine, Noah said. Lang leaned closer to the screen. How can you tell Noah pointed to the passenger side? The mirror extends 6 inches farther than mine. The image was soft, almost shapeless. Harmon enlarged it. The picture broke into squares. Noah continued. There is a decal at the top of the rear window. Mine has no decal. Ruiz looked at him. You can see that I can see where the rain does not reflect. Harmon advanced the footage. The truck stopped beside the rear loading door. A man climbed out wearing a dark jacket and a baseball cap. His face remained hidden. He swiped a card. The warehouse door opened. The timestamp read 11:46. Lang glanced at Noah. That matches the access record. Noah did not answer. The man disappeared into the warehouse. 8 minutes later, the door opened again. He moved a generator onto a trailer attached to the truck. Then another. The camera never captured his face clearly. At 12:17, the truck left through the south end of the alley. Harmon stopped the video. We still have a vehicle similar to Walker's and someone using his access card. Noah looked at the rear wheel. Go back. She reversed the footage. Stop. The truck was angled beneath a streetlight. Noah pointed to the lower body panel. A patch of pale color showed above the rear wheel. What is that? Ruiz asked. Primer. Lang frowned. Primer? The truck was repaired and not repainted. Harmon looked toward Noah's vehicle outside. Its body was worn, but there was no pale repair patch. Ruiz turned to Lang. Employee vehicle records. Mason maintains them. Then pull the insurance files. Payroll should have copies of registration details. Lang opened his computer. Noah watched the frozen image. The man in the video wore a jacket cut like his own. Same dark canvas. Same reflective strip near the shoulder. Someone had not merely wanted the truck to resemble his. They had wanted the driver to resemble him too. Ruiz noticed the direction of his gaze. You recognize the jacket. Half the crew owns one. That is not what I asked. It looks like mine. Lang found the employee vehicle list. Mason Briggs owned a black Ford pickup registered 6 years earlier. The listed repair history included collision damage to the right rear panel, Harmon wrote down the plate number and sent it through dispatch. Ruiz turned to Noah. "This helps, but it does not clear you completely. I know. The card was still in your locker. Then someone had access to my locker. Who has duplicate keys?" Noah looked toward the empty warehouse office. Mason. At Emma James Elementary, the line of cars had thinned by the time Claire arrived. Children waited beneath the covered walkway with teachers and office staff. Backpacks rested at their feet. Parents hurried through the gate offering apologies and checking phones. Emma sat alone on a low brick wall beside the blue gate. Her costume hung over one arm. Her backpack sat beside her with the loose strap Noah had warned Claire about. Emma saw Claire's car and stood. Relief appeared first, then suspicion. Claire parked and crossed the sidewalk. "Where is Dad? He got delayed at work." Emma looked behind her as though Noah might be following. "He promised." "I know. He never gets delayed when he promises." Claire crouched in front of her. He did not forget. "Then why are you here?" Claire searched for words that were honest without frightening her. "Something happened at the construction site. Your dad is helping the police understand it." Emma's expression became serious. "Did somebody get hurt?" "No." "Did Dad get hurt?" Claire thought of the red marks around Noah's wrists. "No one is in danger." That was not the same answer. Emma noticed. She lifted her backpack. The damaged strap tore loose. Claire caught the bag before it fell. "Your father warned me about that. He fixes everything." Claire looked toward the school building. "Yes," she said quietly. "He does." They walked to the car. Emma opened the rear door, then paused. "Can I call him? He is speaking with the police right now." "That sounds bad." Claire placed the backpack on the seat. "It is a serious mistake." "Did he make it?" "No." The answer came without hesitation. Emma watched her. "You believe him?" Claire felt the question like a hand closing around her heart. "Yes." She wished she had answered Noah that quickly. Emma climbed into the back seat. On the drive, Charleston moved past in late afternoon light. Church steeples rose above rooftops. Tourists crossed intersections near the market. Carriages moved slowly along shaded streets. Emma held the unfinished wooden horse in both hands. "Dad was making this for my dance." "How do you know?" "He always makes me something when he thinks he is going to be late." Claire glanced at her in the mirror. "He has been late before. Not for important things." Emma ran her thumb over the unfinished leg. "When Mom died, he missed my preschool song." Claire tightened her hands around the steering wheel. "He was overseas. Grandma recorded it, but the sound did not work." Emma looked out the window. He watched it anyway. Claire waited. Emma rarely spoke about Rachel. When she did, Noah was usually nearby listening from the edge of the conversation. "Dad came home 2 weeks later." Emma continued. "He slept on the floor next to my bed because I kept waking up." "How old were you?" 4. The traffic light turned red. Claire looked at Emma in the mirror. Emma's face was calm, but her fingers had closed tightly around the horse. "Did he tell you why he left the Navy?" He said, "I needed one parent who came home every night." The light turned green. Claire drove on. Emma leaned toward the window. "He checks every door twice." Claire said nothing. "He sits where he can see restaurant doors, too. And sometimes he wakes up because he thinks somebody called his name." "Does he talk about it?" "No." "Does he talk about your mother?" "Sometimes." Emma looked down at the carving. "He says talking about her does not make her more gone." Claire swallowed. Noah had spent years guarding everyone else from his grief. Emma. His coworkers. Claire. He had never asked anyone to carry even a small part of it. Emma leaned forward between the seats. Do you like him? Claire almost missed the turn. What? My dad. Of course I like him. No, I mean like him. Claire looked at Emma through the mirror. The child's expression was entirely serious. That is a very personal question. That means yes. Claire exhaled. Your father is important to me. Emma sat back. You should tell him. It is complicated. He is bad at guessing. Claire laughed despite herself. I have noticed. At Noah's house, Emma unlocked the front door with a key attached to a purple cord. The home was small and carefully kept. Work boots rested beside the door. Emma's school papers covered one side of the refrigerator. Noah's tools occupied a shelf near the back porch. Claire had been inside twice before. Once to deliver plans during a storm. Once when Emma had a fever and Noah refused to leave her alone. Both visits had been brief. Now, without Noah there, the house felt more intimate. Emma placed the wooden horse on the kitchen table. I need a snack. Claire opened the refrigerator. Every container had a handwritten date. Prepared meals were stacked on the lower shelf. A list of emergency numbers was taped beside the handle. You can have apple slices or yogurt, Claire said. Dad lets me have cookies. There are no cookies. He hides them above the stove. Claire looked at her. Emma smiled. Claire found the cookies. While Emma ate, Claire noticed a yellow envelope beneath a stack of mail. Emma James Elementary Parent Planning Meeting Confirmation. She pulled out the letter. The date matched the night of the theft. The school had recorded Noah's digital arrival at 9:03 p.m. and departure at 11:52 p.m. Claire read it twice. The warehouse door had opened at 11:46. The school was nearly 20 minutes from Harbor Grand. Noah could not have been in both places. Emma, was your dad at school with you Tuesday night? Emma nodded with a cookie in her mouth. For the dance meeting? Yes. Mrs. Aldridge made everybody take a picture. Do you know where it is, school page? Claire opened the school's social media account. A photograph showed parents seated in the cafeteria while teachers discussed the dance. A digital clock on the wall read 11:38. Noah stood near the back holding a roll of decorations while another father tied ribbon around a chair. Claire saved the image and sent it to Officer Ruiz with the confirmation letter. Her phone rang almost immediately. This gives him an alibi, Ruiz said. It proves he was at the school. It proves he could not have opened the warehouse door at 11:46. Claire closed her eyes. She had wanted evidence that confirmed what she believed about Noah. Now she had it. The relief was followed by shame. I should have trusted him. Ruiz was silent for a moment. Trust is not evidence. No, but doubt is not evidence either. Bring the letter to the site. We need the original. Claire looked toward Emma. I cannot bring her there. Understood. Harmon will send an officer to collect it. Claire ended the call. Emma stood at the refrigerator studying a drawing held beneath a magnet. Claire followed her gaze. The picture showed the Harbor Grand with 3 people in front of it, the same drawing Officer Harmon had removed from Noah's bag. Emma had made more than one copy. In this version, Claire stood between Emma and Noah. Their hands were joined. Above them, Emma had drawn a large yellow sun. Claire touched the edge of the paper. When did you make this? Last week. Why am I in it? Emma looked confused by the question. Because you are always there. Claire turned away before Emma could see her eyes fill. Back at the construction site, police searched Mason's office. The drawers contained routine invoices, delivery receipts, and equipment manuals. His computer required a password. Harmon contacted the company's technology contractor and obtained administrative access. Noah remained near the doorway. Ruiz had asked him to wait outside, but Noah could see enough through the window. Harmon opened deleted email files. Most were empty. One contained fragments of messages sent to an address registered to a private equipment buyer in Savannah. Need next shipment by Thursday. Generators must have serial plates removed. No delays this time. Another message contained payment instructions. The bank account belonged to a shell company created 3 months earlier. Ruiz stepped into the hallway. We are obtaining a warrant for his financial records. Noah looked toward the parking lot. He will not use a bank account now. You think he knows we found this? He knew the moment you removed the cuffs. Ruiz studied him. You keep answering like you have investigated people before. I have watched people make decisions under pressure. Is that what you did in the Navy? Noah's expression closed. Ruiz leaned against the wall. I am not asking because I think it makes you innocent. Then why ask? Because the false report used your service history. Whoever wrote it knew you would not explain yourself. Noah looked through the window at the courtyard. They were right. Ruiz waited. The noise of the construction site moved around them. Hammer strikes, a reversing truck, the distant horn of a ship entering the harbor. My wife died while I was deployed, Noah said. His voice was level. Ruiz said nothing. Noah continued. Drunk driver. She was coming home from work. How old was your daughter 4? The word came out more quietly. I returned 2 weeks later. Emma had started sleeping with one of my old shirts because it still smelled like me. Ruiz lowered his eyes. They offered me another command, Noah said. I left instead. You retired medical and service separation after 12 years. The papers call it retired because it is easier than explaining the rest. Why Charleston Rachel loved it here. Noah looked toward the ballroom windows. She wanted to restore old houses. Said new buildings never had enough ghosts. A faint smile touched his face, then disappeared. I build things because broken wood makes sense. You find the damage. You remove what cannot hold. You reinforce what can. People are harder. Noah looked at the red marks around his wrists. People hide where the damage is. Ruiz's radio crackled. Harmon called him back into the office. The technology contractor had recovered a deleted file from Mason's computer. It contained images of Noah's work schedule, photographs of his truck, and a scanned copy of his supervisor card. Another folder contained an instruction manual for a portable card encoder. Harmon looked at Noah through the open door. He copied your access card. Lang entered carrying a box from the warehouse. Inside was a compact device used to program employee entry cards. The serial number matched one purchased under Mason's department budget. Ruiz placed Mason's name into the active suspect report. A patrol officer checked his home address. No one answered. Another officer contacted Mason's former wife. She had not seen him in months. Claire returned to Harbor Grand just after 5, bringing the original school letter. Emma came with her. Noah saw them through the courtyard gate. Emma ran before Claire could stop her. Dad! Noah crossed the space between them. Emma collided with him and wrapped both arms around his waist. He knelt and held her. For the first time since the police arrived, his composure broke. His eyes closed against her hair. His shoulders lowered. The courtyard disappeared around them. Emma pulled back and looked at his wrists. Red lines circled the skin. What happened? Noah looked at Claire. She had told Emma enough to prepare her, but not enough to frighten her. The police made a mistake, he said. Emma looked toward Ruiz and Harmon. Did they hurt you? No. Are you in trouble? No. She studied his face. Are you telling the truth, always? Emma nodded, satisfied. Then she turned toward Ruiz. Did you say sorry? Ruiz glanced at Noah. Not yet. You should. Harmon pressed her lips together, hiding the beginning of a smile. Ruiz crouched until he was closer to Emma's height. You are right. I am sorry we frightened your father. Emma looked at Noah's wrists again. You should be more careful. Yes, ma'am. Claire stood several feet away watching Noah with his daughter. She had seen the Navy records. She had heard about the commendations. She knew officers were speaking differently to him now. None of it affected her as deeply as the way Noah held Emma. He was not impressive because he had once carried people out of danger. He was impressive because every decision he made now began with a child who believed he would come home. Noah stood. Emma remained close to his side. Claire handed Ruiz the school letter. This proves he was there. Ruiz nodded. It does. Noah looked at Claire. You found it at your house. Their eyes held. Claire lowered her voice. I am sorry. Noah glanced at Emma. This is not the place. I know. Emma looked between them. You are both doing the quiet thing. Claire almost smiled. Noah touched Emma's shoulder. Go sit in the office for a minute. Can Claire come? Claire looked at Noah. He nodded. Emma took Claire's hand and led her toward the office. Before they reached the door, Harmon's phone rang. She answered, listened, then turned to Ruiz. One of the generators has an active manufacturer tracker. We're private storage yard near the Cooper River. Ruiz took the phone. Harmon continued. The property records show 3 rented units. One is registered to Mason Briggs. Noah stepped closer to the map on the screen. The storage yard was bordered by the river on one side and an old freight road on the other. Ruiz pointed toward the entrance. We have units approaching from the north. There are 2 entrances, Noah said. Ruiz looked at him. The south gate connects to the service road. How do you know I repaired it last year? Ruiz radioed the responding officers and redirected one vehicle toward the south entrance. A second voice broke through the channel. The officer at the north gate was breathing hard. Suspect saw us. Black pickup moving through the yard. A crash sounded over the radio, then footsteps. The officer's voice returned. He abandoned the truck. Ruiz reached for his keys. Direction. The answer came through a burst of static. South side. Briggs is running. Briggs is running. The radio call filled the Harbor Grand office sharp enough to silence everyone inside. Officer Ruiz was already moving. He crossed the courtyard toward his cruiser, while Harmon called for additional units. Rain had begun to strike the windows first as scattered drops, then as a hard sheet blown in from the harbor. Noah followed them to the gate. Ruiz turned. You stay here. I know the yard. You are still connected to an active investigation. I am also the reason your officers know about the south gate. Ruiz opened the driver's door. And that is why they are covering it. The radio crackled again. Suspect moving between storage rows C and D. Dark jacket. No visual on his hands. Noah looked toward the map still glowing on Harmon's phone. The south gate chain sticks when it rains. Ruiz paused. What does that mean? It means Mason cannot open it from inside without getting out of the truck? There is a maintenance gap beside the hinge. A person can get through, but not a vehicle. Ruiz relayed the information. Noah continued. There is a drainage canal beyond the fence. If he crosses it, he will reach the freight tracks. Ruiz studied him. You remember all that from repairing one gate. I remember places where people can disappear. The 2 men held each other's gaze for a moment. Then Ruiz got into the cruiser. Stay with your daughter. He drove through the construction gate with Harmon following close behind. Noah stood in the rain until the taillights vanished. Claire approached with Emma beneath the office awning. She held an umbrella, though the wind had already turned it useless. Emma reached for Noah's hand. Are they going to catch him? Noah looked down at her. Yes. He said it with enough certainty that Emma believed him. Claire did not. She had seen the tension in his shoulders when Mason's name came over the radio. She had watched Noah study the yard map as if he were already there, measuring distances, calculating exits, imagining every decision Mason might make. "You wanted to go with them," she said. Noah watched rainwater race along the gutters. "I wanted this finished. It will be." He turned toward her. Claire saw that he was not only thinking about the stolen equipment. Mason had placed cash in his locker, copied his access card, lied about his history, and arranged for police to arrest him in front of the people whose trust mattered to him. Mason had nearly taken Noah away from Emma. That was the wound Noah could not hide. Inside the storage yard, patrol lights flashed across rows of steel containers. Rain hammered against corrugated roofs and turned the service roads into dark rivers of mud. Mason Briggs ran between two storage rows, slipping once and catching himself against a container wall. His breath tore at his chest. His right shoe had come loose at the heel, but he did not stop. Behind him, an officer shouted, "Mason Briggs, stop running!" Mason reached the south fence. The gate stood ahead, secured by the rusted chain Noah had described. He grabbed it with both hands and pulled. The mechanism did not move. Mason cursed and looked back. Blue light swept across the end of the storage row. He abandoned the gate and forced himself through the narrow maintenance gap beside the hinge. His jacket caught on exposed metal. Fabric tore across the shoulder. Mason twisted free and dropped into the drainage canal. Brown water reached his knees. He climbed the opposite bank and ran toward the freight tracks. An officer emerged near the far side of the fence. "Hands where I can see them." Mason turned. Another cruiser blocked the path behind him. For a moment he stood between the two officers with rain pouring over his face. His hands hung beside his body. "Get on the ground," the officer ordered. Mason looked toward the river. The distance was too far. The current was too strong. He lowered himself into the mud. By the time Ruiz arrived, Mason was handcuffed beside the south gate. The torn sleeve of his jacket exposed a long scratch along his arm. Harmon searched him. She found 2 phones, a storage key, $600 in cash, and a small remote used to control the Harbor Grand security system. Ruiz held the remote beneath the cruiser light. "You carry this everywhere." Mason stared at the mud. "It belongs to the company. So did the equipment." Mason looked away. The officers brought him to Storage Unit 18. The steel door was closed with a heavy padlock. Harmon held up the key taken from his pocket. Mason said nothing. She unlocked the door. The smell of fuel and wet metal rolled into the rain. Portable generators filled the front of the unit. Their serial plates had been removed, but the yellow paint beneath the scratches matched Donovan Restoration's equipment. Behind them sat coils of copper wiring, thermal scanners, laser measuring units, and unopened tool cases. Claire's company name had been covered with gray paint. Ruiz stepped inside. On a folding table, he found a card encoder beside a stack of blank access cards. There were photographs of the Harbor Grand taped to the wall. One showed the rear loading door. Another showed Noah's truck parked outside his house. A third showed Noah entering his supervisor code at the warehouse keypad. Harmon opened a plastic file box. Inside were copies of Noah's work schedule, Emma's school calendar, and printed pages from the company payroll system. Ruiz's expression hardened. This was not just theft. Harmon lifted a dark canvas jacket from a chair. It matched the jacket Noah wore at work. The reflective strip across the shoulder was identical to the one visible in the security footage. "He wanted the camera to see Walker," she said. Ruiz looked toward Mason, who stood outside between 2 officers. "No," he said. He wanted everyone to believe they had seen Walker. At the Harbor Grand, Noah sat with Emma inside the unfinished ballroom. The storm darkened the tall windows. Work lights cast long shadows across the floor. Most of the crew had been sent home, but several senior employees remained. No one wanted to leave before learning what the police found. Emma sat on a wooden crate with the carved horse in her lap. Noah used a small knife to shape the unfinished leg. Claire stood near one of the windows answering calls from investors and the insurance company. Her voice was controlled, but Noah could hear the strain beneath it. She ended another call and crossed the room. The insurer is suspending the claim review until the police finish searching Mason's storage unit. Noah kept carving. That is good. They also confirmed the anonymous report came from an account created at a public library. He looked up. Near Mason's house, 3 blocks away. Emma watched them. Is Mason the man who made the mistake Noah set the knife aside? Mason made choices. Bad ones. Yes. Emma looked down at the horse. Why Noah considered the question. People often searched for one clean reason when someone caused harm. They wanted greed, anger, fear, or jealousy to stand alone. The truth was usually less orderly. I do not know yet, he said. Claire sat beside Emma. Sometimes people make one bad choice and become afraid of anyone finding out. Then they make another choice to hide the first one. Emma thought about that. So the choices get bigger. Claire nodded, and harder to stop. Noah watched her speak to Emma. There was no performance in Claire's voice. She did not simplify the truth until it became meaningless. She treated Emma like a child who deserved honesty without carrying an adult's burden. The sight made something inside Noah soften. It also made the morning hurt more. His phone rang. Ruiz's name appeared on the screen. Noah answered. We found the equipment, Ruiz said. Noah closed his eyes briefly. All of it. Most of it. We found the card encoder, a jacket matching yours, photographs of your truck, copies of your schedule and files on your daughter's school. Noah's hand tightened around the phone. What kind of files, public calendar information? Nothing indicates he approached her. Claire saw the change in Noah's face. She moved closer. Ruiz continued. We also found the security remote used to erase footage from the site system. Briggs had it in his pocket. Did he confess? Not yet. Then why was my school schedule in his unit? He needed to know when you were away from the site. It also gave him an alibi window to use your access code. Noah looked at Emma. She was tracing one finger along the horse's carved back. Ruiz lowered his voice. You are cleared as a suspect. Harmon is completing the report now. Noah said nothing. He had imagined hearing those words from the moment the handcuffs closed. They did not bring the relief he expected. The workers had still watched him being taken away. Claire had still hesitated. Emma had still waited outside school. Evidence could clear his name. It could not erase the hours when everyone believed the worst. Ruiz seemed to understand the silence. We will return to the site shortly. Noah ended the call. Claire waited. They found everything he said, the equipment, the copied cards, the jacket. Emma stood. Does that mean you are not in trouble? Noah looked at her. Yes. Her face brightened. She threw both arms around him. Noah held her close. Claire turned toward the windows, giving them privacy, though tears had already gathered in her eyes. Several workers stood near the ballroom entrance. The news moved through them quietly. Luis was the first to approach. I knew it was not you. Noah released Emma and looked at him. You hoped it was not me. Luis lowered his eyes. There was honesty in the correction. Ben Carter stood behind him, shifting his weight. I should have said something. Noah remembered Ben moving his coffee cup away. What would you have said that you would never do it? You did not know that. Ben looked confused. Noah continued. But you knew I had not been proven guilty. The workers remained silent. Noah returned to the wooden horse. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. An hour later, the police cruisers returned. Mason was not with them. Another unit had taken him to the station. Ruiz entered the courtyard carrying a sealed evidence folder. Harmon walked beside him. The remaining crew gathered beneath the covered work area. Rainwater dripped from the scaffolding. Lang stood near Claire with his hands clasped behind his back. Ruiz faced the group. The investigation has recovered the stolen equipment from a storage unit rented by Mason Briggs. We also recovered evidence showing that Mr. Briggs copied Noah Walker's access card, used his supervisor code, planted money in his locker, and submitted false information to law enforcement. No one moved. Ruiz continued. Noah Walker has been fully cleared of involvement in the theft. A low murmur passed through the workers. Tyler held his phone at his side, the same phone he had used to record Noah's arrest. Officer Harmon stepped forward. She looked directly at Noah. We acted on information that appeared to be supported by physical evidence. Part of that information was deliberately fabricated. We should have verified the source more carefully before arresting you publicly. She paused. I am sorry. Noah looked at the workers surrounding them. Put that in the report. I will, and make sure the correction is public. Harmon nodded. It will be. Ruiz opened the evidence folder. There is more. Mr. Briggs appears to have sold equipment through a private buyer in Savannah. Financial records indicate the thefts began approximately 3 months ago. Lang asked, did he explain why Ruiz looked toward Noah? He has started talking. At the station, Mason sat in an interview room wearing borrowed clothes from the county jail. The scratch on his arm had been cleaned and covered. Mud remained beneath his fingernails. Harmon sat across from him while another detective reviewed the recovered messages. Mason stared at photographs of the storage unit. You already found it, he said. What do you need me for? The reason? Harmon replied. Mason laughed bitterly. The company wanted a reason when it cut my department budget. Claire wanted a reason when she gave Walker authority over every decision I made. You stole before Walker reviewed the inventory. Mason looked at the table. His failed contracting business had left him owing more than $100,000. Private lenders had begun calling his former wife. One appeared outside his son's apartment. Mason sold a scanner to make the first payment, then a generator, then copper. Each theft bought him several more weeks. Noah began checking the logs. Mason knew the scheme would end as soon as Claire gave Noah full oversight of the warehouse. He walked in there like he owned the place, Mason said. Claire listened to him. Everyone did. Because he did his job, because he stood there acting like nothing touched him. Harmon placed a photograph of the copied access card in front of him. So you framed him. I gave people a reason to see what was already there. What was there? A man with no past, no friends, no explanation for anything. Harmon leaned forward. You invented the explanation. Mason looked away. He thought he was better than everyone. No, Harmon said. You were afraid Claire thought he was better than you. Mason's jaw tightened. He said nothing else. Back at the Harbor Grand, Claire climbed onto the temporary platform used for safety meetings. The workers turned toward her. Noah stood near the rear of the courtyard with Emma beside him. Claire did not hold notes. This morning, a man who has given 3 years of honest work to this company was arrested in front of all of us. Her voice carried beneath the sound of the rain. Evidence had been arranged to make him appear guilty. The police have now confirmed that evidence was planted. She looked toward Noah. But Mason Briggs is not the only person responsible for what happened here. Noah's expression remained still. Claire continued. Noah warned us that the inventory records were wrong. He noticed the loading door. He found the altered entries. We did not preserve the information he gave us. We allowed one accusation to become a conclusion. Lang shifted near the office entrance. Claire did not look at him. As owner of this company, I failed to protect both the investigation and the dignity of one of my employees. The workers watched her. Some looked uncomfortable. Claire's voice remained steady. Beginning today, access records will require confirmation from 2 supervisors. Warehouse video will be stored outside the site network. Anonymous reports will be investigated without treating accusation as proof. Noah will be paid for every hour affected by this investigation, and Donovan Restoration will cover any legal expense required to clear his public record. She looked toward Tyler. Anyone who recorded or shared his arrest will also share the official correction. Tyler lowered his eyes. Claire stepped down from the platform. Noah remained where he was. She approached him. "I should have trusted you," she said. The apology was quiet, but everyone heard it. Noah looked at the crew. "I do not need anyone to pretend this did not happen." His voice was calm. "I need you to remember how easily it happened." No one looked away now. "You did not have to believe I was incapable of doing something wrong. You only had to wait for the truth before deciding I had done it." Tyler pulled out his phone. "I deleted the video." Noah looked at him. "Post the correction." Tyler nodded. "I will." The workers began leaving in small groups. Luis touched Noah's shoulder before walking away. Ben stopped as if he wanted to speak again, then decided there were no words that would help. Emma went inside the office with Officer Ruiz, who had found hot chocolate in the break room. Noah entered the unfinished ballroom alone. Rain moved down the tall windows in silver lines. He began gathering his tools. Claire found him placing chisels into a canvas roll. "Are you leaving for tonight?" "That is not what I meant." Noah continued packing. Claire stepped into the space between him and the next table. "The Harbor Grand needs you. The building might." She absorbed the distinction. "I need you." He stopped. The unfinished ceiling stretched above them, held in place by the supports Noah had designed. Claire looked around the ballroom. "I was afraid that if the accusation was true and I defended you, I would lose the company." Noah said nothing. "And if it was false and I doubted you, I would lose you. You chose the company. I chose caution. To the person in handcuffs, those look the same." Claire's eyes filled, but she did not turn away. "I know." Noah folded the tool roll. "The cuffs did not hurt as much as the moment you looked at me and did not know who I was. I knew who you were. You knew who you wanted me to be." "No." Claire moved closer. "I knew the man who brought me coffee when I had not slept. The man who left work because his daughter needed a costume. The man who saved a ceiling because I could not bear to destroy it." Her voice weakened. "I was afraid the evidence meant I had been wrong about all of it." Noah met her eyes. "Trust is what you do when fear gives you a reason not to." Claire nodded slowly. "You are right." She did not ask him to forgive her. She did not reach for his hand. That restraint affected him more than another apology would have. Emma appeared at the ballroom entrance. "Dad, can we go home?" Noah looked toward her. "Yes." Emma ran across the room carrying the wooden horse. The final leg had been shaped, though the surface remained rough. She placed it in Claire's hands. Claire looked down. "This is yours." Emma shook her head. "I think you need it." "Why?" Emma leaned close and lowered her voice. "Dad only makes things for people he loves." Claire's breath caught. "Emma," Noah called. Emma ran back to him. Noah looked at the horse in Claire's hands, then at Claire. For one long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the rain had softened. Noah helped Emma into the truck and fastened her seatbelt. He walked around to the driver's side, then stopped with one hand on the door. Claire stood beneath the Harbor Grand awning, holding the wooden horse against her chest. Noah looked at her across the wet courtyard. She did not call after him. She did not ask him to stay. He climbed into the truck. The engine started. Claire watched the red taillights move through the gate and disappear along the Charleston waterfront. By morning, the rain had passed, but the story of Noah Walker's arrest had already traveled farther than the truth. A video recorded from the scaffolding appeared online before sunrise. It showed 2 police cruisers at the Harbor Grand Noah standing in handcuffs and Claire watching from several feet away. The clip ended before the officers removed the cuffs. It ended before the security footage was recovered. It ended before Mason Briggs was arrested. The caption beneath it read, "Construction supervisor arrested in major theft." By 7, the video had been shared hundreds of times. Noah sat at his kitchen table with a cup of coffee growing cold between his hands. His phone rested face down beside it, though the screen continued to vibrate against the wood. Emma entered wearing her school uniform and carrying the wooden horse. She had taken it back from Claire before they left the Harbor Grand. One side had been polished smooth, the other still showed faint marks from Noah's carving knife. "Your phone is angry," she said. "It will calm down. It has been angry since breakfast." Noah picked it up. Messages filled the screen. Some came from coworkers apologizing for what had happened. Others came from people he had not spoken to in years. A former Navy teammate had sent only 4 words. "Saw the video. Call me." Another message came from a local reporter asking whether Noah wanted to discuss his military service and the wrongful arrest. A second reporter wanted to know whether he planned to sue Claire's company. A stranger had found Emma's school through an old public photograph and left a comment beneath the arrest video. Noah shut off the phone. Emma watched him. Are people saying bad things? Some of them. Do they know Mason did it? Not all of them. Then tell them. Noah looked at her. It does not always work that fast. Emma placed the horse on the table. "Dad, you always say if something is wrong, you fix it before it gets worse." Noah rubbed one thumb across the red mark still visible around his wrist. "People are not floorboards. No, floorboards listen better." A quiet laugh escaped him. Emma smiled, pleased that she had pulled it from him. He stood and reached for her backpack. The loose strap had torn completely away. Noah had repaired it with dark blue thread. Emma inspected the stitches. "It does not match. It will hold. That is what you say when something looks bad. It is what I say when something works." He helped her put on the backpack. At the front door, she stopped. "Are you going to work?" Noah looked toward the Harbor Grand across the river, though the building was not visible from their street. Not today. "Did Claire fire you? No. Did you quit? No." Emma waited. Noah opened the door. "I am deciding." She stepped onto the porch, then turned. "You tell me not to make important decisions when I am mad. I am not mad." Emma gave him the same look Rachel used to give when she knew he was hiding behind carefully chosen words. "You are quiet mad." Noah locked the door. "That is not a real thing. It is with you." He drove Emma to school and walked her to the blue gate. Mrs. Aldridge waited near the entrance. Her expression changed when she saw him. "Mr. Walker." "I heard what happened. So did everyone else. The school has confirmed your attendance at the planning meeting to the police. We also removed Emma's name from the public dance page." "Thank you." Mrs. Aldridge glanced toward Emma, who was speaking with another child. "She had a difficult morning yesterday." "I know. She kept telling us you never break promises." Noah watched his daughter. "I was late. You did not choose to be. To an 8-year-old, that difference can be hard to see." Mrs. Aldridge lowered her voice. "She saw you come for her costume. She saw you at the meeting." Children build trust from moments like those, not from one afternoon. Noah nodded. Emma ran back and hugged him. 6:30. Friday. I will be there." She stepped away, then pointed at him. "Not 6:31. Yes, ma'am." He waited until she disappeared inside. Instead of driving to the harbor, Grand Noah returned home. The silence inside the house felt different without Emma. He cleaned the breakfast dishes, repaired a loose porch rail, and reorganized tools that did not need reorganizing. Every task allowed him to avoid the question waiting beneath them. Did he still belong at Donovan Historic Restoration? The company had not framed him. Mason had done that. Claire had not called the police. The insurer had. She had paid him, trusted his work, helped care for Emma, and stood before the entire crew to accept responsibility. But Noah could still see the moment before the cuffs closed. Claire had looked at the evidence. Then she had looked at him. For 2 seconds she had not known which one to believe. The doorbell rang. Noah opened the front door, expecting another reporter. Officer Ruiz stood on the porch holding a folder. "I thought you might want this before the official copy arrives." Noah stepped aside. Ruiz entered and placed the folder on the kitchen table. Inside was a written confirmation that Noah had been cleared of all suspicion. It summarized the recovered evidence, Mason's confession, and the false claims used to obtain the arrest request. Noah read the first page. Mason confessed. Enough to make the case stronger. What did he say? He admitted copying your card and planting the money. He also admitted deleting the site footage. Noah turned another page. "Why me?" Ruiz sat across from him. "You found the inventory problem. He thought Claire was going to put you in charge of the warehouse systems. That explains why he needed me gone." Ruiz nodded. "It does not explain why he studied your daughter's schedule." Noah's eyes lifted. "He used it to track when you left the site. He knew you would go whenever the school called. That gave him predictable windows." Noah looked toward Emma's lunch note still sitting near the fruit bowl. Ruiz continued. He did not approach her. "We checked the school cameras and visitor logs. I want that in writing." "It is." Noah returned to the report. Ruiz looked toward the turned photograph on the shelf. "I also came to apologize without a crowd." "You already apologized to Emma. She was not the one we arrested." Noah closed the folder. "You acted on evidence. We acted too quickly because the story around the evidence made you look dangerous. The false military investigation, and the claim that you might flee." Ruiz leaned forward. "When I saw your service record, I almost made the opposite mistake." Noah looked at him. Ruiz continued. "I almost decided a decorated veteran could not have done it. That would not have been justice either. No, the right question was never whether you seemed honorable. It was whether the evidence was real." Noah nodded once. Ruiz stood. "Your name is clear in our system. The public correction goes out this afternoon." He moved toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped. "The Harbor Grand crew is meeting at 9 tomorrow." Claire asked whether an officer could explain the correction. "She should explain it. She intends to." Ruiz looked at him. "She did not ask me to convince you to return. That sounds like Claire. She asked me to make sure you knew she was not using your military record in the press statement." Noah's expression shifted. Ruiz opened the door. "She said you spent enough years being defined by a uniform." After he left, Noah stood alone in the kitchen. He looked at the photograph of Rachel, then turned the frame fully toward the room. At the Harbor Grand, Claire sat at the long conference table with 3 investors, 2 attorneys, and Peter Lang from the insurance company. A television screen displayed the arrest video. The image froze on Noah standing in handcuffs. Charles Harlan, the lead investor, tapped one finger against the table. "The public interest can help us." Claire stared at him. "Help us do what control the story. We correct the story. We can do more than that. Walker is a retired Navy SEAL. The press loves that angle. A decorated veteran falsely accused while restoring a historic American hotel." Claire's expression hardened. "He did not give us permission to use his service. It is already public. That does not make it ours." Charles leaned back. "This project needs positive attention. A man was arrested in front of his coworkers because our systems failed. And now he has been cleared. That does not turn what happened into a marketing campaign." Peter Lang adjusted his tie. "The insurer is prepared to issue a statement confirming the planted evidence." Claire nodded. "That is all we need." Charles looked toward the frozen image. "You are letting emotion interfere with business." Claire reached for the remote and turned off the screen. For 3 years, Noah Walker gave this company his judgment, his labor, and his trust. Yesterday, we failed to protect his dignity. I will not make the next failure profitable." The room fell silent. Charles closed his folder. "If he does not return, the opening schedule collapses. Then I will explain that to every investor myself. And if he sues, then we respond honestly." Claire stood. "This meeting is finished." After everyone left, she remained alone at the table. The wooden horse sat beside her laptop. Emma had returned it before leaving the site, insisting Claire keep it overnight. Claire picked it up. The unfinished surface caught against her thumb. Noah had spent months repairing a building that everyone else wanted to replace. He had looked at cracked plaster, damaged wood, and rusted steel and asked what could still be saved. Claire wondered whether he would ask the same question about her. She did not call him. She wanted to. Instead, she opened the revised company policy and worked until evening. The next 3 days passed without Noah entering the Harbor Grand. Claire sent him the official police correction, the insurance statement, and written confirmation that the company would cover any legal costs connected to the arrest. She did not ask when he was returning. She did not mention the ballroom schedule. She did not use Emma as a reason to contact him. On Friday afternoon, Noah stood in front of his bedroom mirror wearing a dark suit he had not touched in years. Emma appeared behind him in a blue dress. Her hair was braided evenly on both sides. Noah looked at it. "Who did that, Mrs. Aldridge?" "You did not trust me. I wanted to look good in the pictures." He adjusted his tie. Emma watched his reflection. "You look nervous." "I have been in worse rooms." "Were there dancing children?" "No." "Then this is worse." The school gym had been decorated with paper stars and strings of white lights. Fathers stood near folding chairs, adjusting collars and checking phones. At exactly 6:30, Noah entered with Emma holding his hand. She looked up at the clock. "Good. I said I would be here." "I know." Music began. Emma pulled him toward the center of the floor. Noah moved stiffly through the first song. Emma laughed. "You dance like furniture. You mentioned that. You did not improve." He placed one hand over his heart. "That is cruel." She stepped onto his shoes so he could guide her. Around them, fathers spun daughters beneath paper stars. Noah looked down at Emma. Rachel should have seen this. The thought came without warning. For years, memories of Rachel had entered like pain. That night, the memory felt different. He could almost hear her laughing at his dancing. Emma looked up. "You are doing the quiet, sad thing." Noah smiled gently. "I was thinking about your mother. Would she laugh at you without mercy?" Emma rested her head against his chest. She would like Claire. Noah looked toward the gym doors. "Why do you say that?" "Because Claire does not try to be mom." The answer surprised him. Emma continued. "She is just Claire." Noah held his daughter a little closer. After the dance, they stopped for ice cream. Emma chose chocolate with sprinkles. Noah ordered coffee. They sat outside beneath a warm evening sky. Emma ate in silence for almost a minute, which Noah recognized as preparation for a question. "Are you going back to the hotel? I do not know. The ceiling needs you. Claire can find someone else. Would they save it?" "Maybe." Emma wiped chocolate from the corner of her mouth. "You said old things are worth saving when the bones are good." Noah looked at her. "When did I say that?" "You told Claire in the ballroom. You were not there." "She told me." Emma returned to her ice cream. Noah looked toward the street. A carriage moved past beneath the trees. He thought about the Harbor Grand, the ceiling, the crew, the years of work inside those walls. Then he thought about Claire standing in the rain, holding the wooden horse and letting him leave without asking him to protect her from the consequences. On Saturday morning, Claire drove to Noah's house with his canvas tool roll in the passenger seat. She had rehearsed what to say at every traffic light. By the time she reached his porch, none of it sounded right. Emma opened the door. Claire. Hi. You came for breakfast. Claire glanced toward the driveway. I brought your father's tools. Emma's face fell. Oh. Noah appeared behind her. He wore an old gray shirt and held a paintbrush. Claire lifted the tool roll. These were still in the ballroom. Noah stepped onto the porch. Emma looked between them. I should check my homework. It is Saturday, Noah said. I have a lot. She disappeared inside and left the screen door slightly open. Claire handed Noah the tools. The company policies are in the folder. I read them. The insurance statement went out yesterday. I saw it. The local news corrected the story. I saw that too. Claire nodded. The porch went quiet. Cicadas hummed in the trees. Inside, Emma positioned herself where she could watch them through the screen. Claire placed the wooden horse on the small table between the chairs. Emma said this belongs to me. She gives things away when she thinks adults need help. Does it work? Sometimes. Claire rested her hands against the porch railing. I am not here to ask you to come back. Noah leaned against the post. The ballroom schedule says otherwise. The ballroom schedule is my problem. You will lose 3 weeks. 4. The investors will not like that. They already dislike me. A faint smile touched Noah's mouth. Claire saw it and nearly lost her courage. She looked toward the yard. I missed you before any of this happened. Noah became still. Claire continued before fear could stop her. I missed you every time you left a room, every time you went home with Emma, every time I invented a work question because I wanted another reason to hear your voice. Noah looked through the screen at his daughter. Emma quickly lowered her head over a blank sheet of paper. Claire followed his gaze. I know she comes first. She has to. I am not asking her not to. Noah folded his arms. You deserve someone who knows how to make room. I am not asking for a room. Claire faced him. I am asking for coffee. He looked at her. Coffee. Saturday morning. No blueprints. No payroll. No pretending this is about the hotel. Noah glanced toward the kitchen window. I may need to check my schedule. From inside, Emma shouted, He is free. Noah closed his eyes. Claire laughed. The sound moved through him with a warmth he had spent years avoiding. He looked at Claire again. I kept you away because Emma already lost one person she loved. Claire's smile faded. I thought if I did not let anyone close, I could protect her from losing someone again. You cannot promise her no one will ever leave. I know. You cannot promise yourself that either. Noah looked toward the street. Claire lowered her voice. I cannot tell you nothing painful will happen. I can tell you I will not disappear the first time life becomes difficult. He studied her face. That sounds dangerously serious for coffee. I can make it less serious. How? We can complain about the weather. It is Charleston. That is still serious. Claire smiled. Noah picked up the wooden horse. When next Saturday? 8:09. I have a child. I have a company. 8:30. Agreed. Inside the house, Emma whispered, Finally. 3 days later, Noah returned to the Harbor Grand. The crew gathered in the courtyard when his truck entered. No one applauded. Claire had warned them not to turn his return into a performance. Luis greeted him with coffee. Ben carried Noah's tool bag without asking. Tyler showed him the corrected video he had posted, including the police statement and Mason's arrest. Noah watched it once. Leave it up. Tyler nodded. Claire met Noah at the ballroom entrance. You came back. For the ceiling, of course, and the revised position. Claire handed him a folder. Restoration Operations Director. The role gave Noah authority over field operations, safety, and inventory controls. He would report to an independent project committee rather than directly to Claire. Noah read the first page. "You created this to keep me from working for you. I created it so that what happens between us does not depend on whether I sign your paycheck." He looked at her. "That is a very confident sentence for someone who has had one coffee." 2. You forgot the diner. The diner was breakfast. You ordered coffee. Noah closed the folder. "I accept." Claire held out her hand. He looked at it, then shook it. Neither released immediately. Work resumed. The ballroom ceiling took 5 more weeks to stabilize. During that time, Claire joined Noah and Emma for Saturday breakfasts. Noah taught Claire how to repair original window frames. Claire attended Emma's school presentation and sat in the front row. Emma began saving a chair for her without asking. Noah spoke about Rachel more often. Claire listened without turning memory into competition. When Noah had nightmares, he stopped pretending he had slept well. When Claire feared losing the company, she stopped hiding behind spreadsheets. Their first kiss happened on Noah's porch after an ordinary dinner. No rain, no police, no crisis. Emma had fallen asleep inside while a movie continued playing. Claire stood to leave. Noah walked her to the steps. She looked back. "Coffee next Saturday." "Yes. Breakfast, too." "Do not push it." Claire smiled. Noah kissed her before he could change his mind. It was quiet and careful, then less careful when she touched his face. When they separated, Claire whispered, "That took a long time." Noah glanced toward the window. Emma stood behind the curtain, giving him 2 raised thumbs. 6 months after the arrest, the Harbor Grand reopened. The restored ballroom glowed beneath hundreds of lights. The original ceiling stretched above the crowd, its repaired details almost invisible unless someone knew where to look. Workers arrived with their families. Investors gathered near the stage. Reporters photographed the restored windows and marble floors. Noah stood near the back with Emma. Claire stepped onto the platform. She spoke about the building's history, the workers who had saved it, and the years required to restore what time had nearly taken away. She did not mention Noah's military service. She did not mention the arrest. At the end, she looked toward him. "This building is standing because a crew of people chose patience over convenience. I am especially grateful to the man who reminded me that trust requires more than good intentions." Noah lowered his eyes. Emma pulled his hand. "That is you. I know. You should smile." "I am smiling. You look uncomfortable. That is my smile." Music began. Guests moved toward the dance floor. Emma pulled Noah through the crowd and stopped in front of Claire. "You are both bad at starting things," she said. Then she placed Noah's hand in Claire's. Claire looked at him. "Is this another safety assessment?" Noah led her onto the floor. "It may be." They began to dance beneath the ceiling he had refused to destroy. Claire rested one hand on his shoulder. A retired Navy SEAL should know how to move quietly. Dancing was not part of the training. "That explains a lot." He drew her closer. At the edge of the floor, Emma laughed. Noah looked over Claire's shoulder at his daughter, then back at the woman in his arms. The noise of the ballroom softened around them. He kissed Claire beneath the restored ceiling. Later, the 3 of them stepped onto the hotel balcony. Charleston Harbor glowed below. Ships moved through the dark water while music drifted through the open doors behind them. Emma leaned against the railing. "Can Claire come to breakfast tomorrow?" Claire looked at Noah. Noah placed one arm around her. "She can come to breakfast whenever she wants." Emma smiled. "That sounds serious." Noah looked at Claire. "It is." Claire leaned against him. Below them, lights reflected across the water. Behind them stood the building they had chosen not to abandon.